Today, I'll tell you the story of a film called What Women Want. Nick Marshall loves women, just in his own way. He grew up backstage in a showgirl dressing room, surrounded by dancers and flashing lights. His mother, a former Vegas performer, saw her son as her whole world. Nick became the little prince of the cabaret, soaking up female attention from a young age. So naturally, he grew into a charming, overconfident ladies' man who thought he understood women better than they understood themselves. Each morning, Nick is woken by his cleaning lady. He simply calls her Babe. She tidies up the mess from the night before: dirty socks, leftover whiskey, lipstick-stained glasses, and lingerie scattered on the floor. Nick never shows up at work before 10. He's an advertising executive, one of the best, and on this particular day, he expects a big promotion. His colleague Morgan and his loyal secretaries are already congratulating him. But when Nick meets with his boss, he gets a surprise. Dan tells him that women are driving the market now, and the company needs a female perspective. So instead of promoting Nick, they've hired a new creative director, Darcy McGuire, a legend in the ad world. Nick is shocked. He hides his frustration and tells himself he'll outsmart her, win back the role. Later that day, he attends the wedding of his ex-wife, Gigi. There he learns that Gigi and her new husband are going on a honeymoon, and that their 16-year-old daughter Alex will be staying with him. Nick and Alex don't have the best relationship, and neither is thrilled about the arrangement. Back at the office, Darcy makes her entrance. She's sharp, confident, and wastes no time giving the team a challenge. Everyone gets a box of women's products and is tasked with coming up with ad ideas by the next morning. At home, Nick pours himself wine, turns on some music, and dives into the box of feminine products. At first he struggles, then he grabs a girly pop CD from his daughter's backpack, blasts the music, downs more wine, and goes all in. He waxes his leg, paints his nails, puts on a face mask, and even slips into a pair of pantyhose. Just as he's about to try on a bra, Alex walks in with her boyfriend. She's horrified. They argue, and she accuses Nick of not caring about her or her life. As he tries to fix things, Nick slips on spilled bath beads, drops a hairdryer into the bathtub, and gets electrocuted. He wakes up the next morning groggy with Babe nagging him. But when he complains, she says she didn't say anything at all. Then, outside the hotel, the woman who always calls him a cab, Flo, seems to think something. And Nick hears it, not her voice, her thoughts. He starts walking to work and realizes he can hear women's thoughts everywhere. At the office, the flood of inner monologues from coworkers is overwhelming. His self-image as a charming womanizer crashes fast. He even hears Erin, the quiet intern, wishing she were invisible, and secretly thinking about ending her life. The only mental silence comes from his secretaries. He shares his experience with Morgan, who laughs it off. Later, in a brainstorming session led by Darcy, Nick tries to pitch a bold idea: a naked woman under a waterfall to sell lipstick. The women in the room mentally scream no, and Nick goes silent. But then he hears one coworker thinking about faking headaches to avoid sleeping with her husband. It's oddly relatable, and he pitches the idea. Darcy praises him for creativity, but remains unimpressed overall. Frustrated, Nick repeats the electrocution experiment to see if he can reset himself. Lightning strikes again. The next day, in a supermarket full of women, the voices are still there. Desperate, he visits his old couple's therapist. Through a few quick demonstrations, he convinces her he's not crazy. She tells him what no one else has. This is a gift. He can use it to his advantage. Armed with this new power, Nick sets out to conquer. First, he charms a barista named Lola by echoing her thoughts. Then he learns that Nike is looking for a new ad agency. Huge opportunity. Darcy warns him that this campaign is about women's apparel, and he needs to think like a woman. No problem. He just listens to her thoughts and repeats them before she says them. At home, he even starts getting along with Alex and promises to take her dress shopping for prom. Later, he goes on a date with Lola, but her thoughts are so distracting the evening is a mess. The second time, though, he fully focuses on her needs and blows her mind. She falls head over heels. Meanwhile, Nick's stealing ideas left and right by listening to women. He gains praise from coworkers, even from Darcy, and starts to genuinely admire her. They begin working more closely, and the chemistry grows. One night, Alex reveals in her thoughts that she plans to sleep with her boyfriend after prom. Nick freaks out and tries to give the talk, but Alex says she already talked to her mom. He calls Darcy and invites her out for drinks. She shares her story, how her divorce drove her to quit her old job. They kiss, but don't go further. That night, Lola shows up at Nick's door, furious that he ghosted her. She assumes he's gay because of how well he understood her. In her mind, she begs him to come out. So Nick, panicking, confirms it. Later, he hears Erin's thoughts again. She feels invisible, and he learns she once applied to be a copywriter, but Nick rejected her without reading her work. The Nike presentation day arrives. Darcy insists Nick should present, even though the campaign was mostly her ideas. Nick wants to come clean, but she brushes it off. The pitch is a hit. That night, Nick starts writing a confession text to Darcy, only for her to show up at his door and invite him over. They spend a romantic evening together. Next morning, Nick is on top of the world, until Dan tells him that Darcy has been fired. Furious, Nick defends her and rushes out to find her. On the way, he learns that Erin didn't come to work. He fears the worst and tracks her down in Chinatown. An old woman shows him the way. As he approaches Erin's apartment, lightning strikes a nearby transformer, just like before. Nick enters the apartment, sees a pill bottle and a note, but Erin appears behind him, tennis racket in hand, alive and well. He offers her a job as a writer. She accepts. Nick can't reach Darcy all day. Then Gigi calls. Alex is crying in the bathroom at prom. Her boyfriend dumped her when she changed her mind about sleeping with him. Nick comforts Alex and takes her home, but he can't sleep. His guilt over Darcy eats him alive. He goes to her apartment and finally confesses. He stole her ideas to try and push her out, but ended up falling in love with her. He tells her the truth, that he's changed, and asks her to come back. Darcy, touched by his honesty, forgives him. They kiss, this time for real.